Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start. This is actually not 8.8, but it's 9.6, I believe. Yeah, it's 9.6. All right, so we're going to start with a warm-up of number 59 from the homework. And this is the problem. It's 2 plus 2i times 1 minus I. And what we're supposed to do to this is we're supposed to change it into trig form. So taking it to trig form means that I need a square root. So I need to find the R1. I'm going to call this Z1, Z2. So the R1, remember, is the absolute value of Z. And that's R1, and that is the square root of 2 squared plus 2 squared, which is the square root of 8. And then I need theta, and the way that I find theta is tan inverse of 2 over 2, which is the same as tan inverse of 1, which is my 45 degrees, or pi over 4. I can take either one. Okay, that's the first one. And so if I want to find Z1, all I have to do is take the square root of 8 times cosine 45 plus I sine 45. Okay, or you can call it square root of 8 cis 45. Okay, so this is my Z1. All right, you can take it either way. So hopefully if you want to stop this video, you can go ahead and work the second part. I'm going to do it really quick. So R2 is the square root of 1 squared plus a negative 1 squared, which is square root of 2. Theta is equal to tan inverse negative 1 over 1. So this is where I have to stop and see where this one's located. Out 1, down 1. It's located in this bottom one, so that's 300. It would be 45 degrees down, negative 45, but that's going to put me at 315 degrees. So this one is Z2 is equal to the square root of 2 cis 315. Now to go ahead and multiply them, which is what you're supposed to do, you take these two and multiply, show you what you get. You get Z1 plus Z times, not plus, times Z2 is equal to square root of 16, which is 4 cis, and you add these two together. Those you add. You multiply the first two, add the second two. So that's going to give you 360. All right, and we're done. And you can leave it like this, or 4 cis of 0. Either one of these are equivalent, okay? These two are the same. And that blue on top of the blue doesn't help anything. I was going to go ahead and do 60, but for the lack of time and wanting this video not to be forever long, I'm going to leave 60 for you to do. So moving on. All right, to find quotients, now that we know how to multiply, look at how to find quotients. So I'm going to take these two and I'm going to divide them. This says to put Z1 over Z2 means that you're going to divide the R's in the same way, and then you're going to subtract the thetas. So here you divide, here you subtract, and here you subtract. But that's where we do this, and we call this cis. All right, it's the shortcut for cosine plus I sine. All right, let's go on to the next one. All right, so let's do this example. So to divide Z1 divided by Z2, then I take these and divide out, and I get 8, and I get cis, and it doesn't have to be in parentheses, but you subtract 300 minus 75, and when you do that, you get 325. So 8 cis 325, and we're done. All right, so let's look at this one. This one says put Z2 over Z1. So my coefficients here, my R's are 1. So 1 divided by 1 is still 1. So Z2 over Z1 is still 1. And it's cosine 30, negative 30 plus I sine of negative 30. The problem is we should not have negatives in our answer. We want it to be between 0 and 360. So I'm going to take 360 minus 30 and get 330. So this is just cis of 330. Done. Okay, doing this one, it has Z2, and this time it's asking us to go to standard form. So I'm going to divide 3 over 15, cis, and 150 minus 270. And I'm going to grab my calculator. I don't need a calculator to get 1/5. And it just hit me. This says standard form. When it says standard form, since I've got to do this anyway, cosine, do 150 minus 270 should be 120, and it is. Cosine 120 plus I sine 120. Okay, to get back to standard form, all I have to do is distribute across. Okay, 1/5 times each of these. So I'm going to use 1/5 as a fraction, 1/5, and then cosine of 120. You know what? And I am in, I'm in radian mode, and I got to get back to degrees. Okay, clear, and let's try this again. 1/5, and I just put a 0 on the bottom. How did I hit a 0? 1/5 cosine 120. Okay, and I got negative 1/10 plus 1/5 sine 120. Whoops, and all of this ended up in the bottom. Whoops, 5 times sine 120. There. This gave me the square root of 3 over 10. So if it asks for, and I just hit a button here that I'm not supposed to hit. If it asks for square root 3 over 10, if it wants the actual number and not rounded off, sorry, I hit a button that caused those scribbles, this would be my answer. Oh, and I've kind of left off the I. Let's put the I in there. There we go. Square root of 3 over 10 I. There we go. Final answer. I know in class we did these and we had decimals. And for some reason, it's just a little bit more satisfying to leave those not in decimal form because it's like 0.1 and 0.2. All right. Z1 divided by Z2 and leave it in trig form. The problem with these, we're not in trig form. So I've got to get them to trig form. So to take these to trig form, I've got to get an R. R1 is equal to the square root of negative 1 squared plus square root 3 squared, which is a total of 4, which is 2. So I'm at 2 cis something. Well, my something, I have to do the theta and get tan inverse of square root of 3 over negative 1, which is negative square root of 3, which is negative 60 degrees. So at this point, you got to figure out where's this thing located. It's back 1 and up some. It's in that quadrant. So that would be 180 minus 60, which is 120. And so this would be 120. All right, take a minute, see if you can get the next one. And I've got to write a pass real quick. 427. Here you go. All right, so let's see if you've got it already. So our R2 is equal to 4 square root of 3 squared minus square root of 3 squared, and it's the square root of all of that. Okay, so what your calculator does, and I told everybody this in class, but let's go over here to the side. What your calculator does is it takes 4 times the root of 3, and you have to wrap this in parentheses. 4 squared is 16. It knows that this squared applies to both pieces. So times 3, and we get 48. So this is going to be 48 minus 3. Oh, that should be a plus. My bad. Where did I get minus? It's a negative in here. All right, so it should be plus, so it's the square root of 51. So that means this is going to equal square root 51 cis something. I don't know what. We've got to find out. So theta is equal to tan inverse square root of 3, negative square root of 3 over 4 root 3. Those cancel, and I'm down to 1/4. Tan inverse of 1/4. So I'm going to put that in my calculator. Tan inverse 0.25. Same thing. It's 14.0304. 14 degrees. So I've got to remember where this is located. It's out 4, down 3, square root of 3, somewhere in this ballpark. And I'm at negative, wow, that should have told me negative 14 degrees. I just did 1/4. It should have been negative 1/4, negative 14. So subtract it from 360, and I get 346. 346. All right, so that means this is 346. So now I have to take, I'm going to get a highlighter because this is getting real confusing. Here are my 2 answers. All right, so once I have those answers, then I'm going to divide Z1 divided by Z2. So that's going to give me 2 over the root of 51 cis, and now 120 minus 346, negative 226. Can't have this negative 226 here. This is a problem child, so I have to take 360 minus 226. Wow, I got real happy with those 2's. 360 minus 226, and I got 134. So this is 2 square root 51 over 51 cis 134. If you turn all of this into decimal, you would have 0.3 cis 135. Done. Okay? Either one I will take. But if it's asked to leave it in square root form, that's how you do it. All right, so powers. Okay, I'm going to point this out. This is where you need to copy this down. And if you need to pause it because I leave too quick, go ahead, do so. You have all of this raised to a power. So what happens is you get the original r raised to the power because that's what you're working on. But then when you go to here, it drops down a level of difficulty, and it's not raising it to a power, it's multiplying. So this is times and times. All right? Okay, so this is how it works. Let's do it. So we take this, and it says raise it to the 4th power. So if I raise that to the 4th power, I have to take this and raise it to the 4th. So we have 5 times 4. And then we would have cis pi over 12, but I've got to multiply by the power 4. Why? Because that's the rule. Now, if you cannot do this without a calculator and get it right, then by all means, use a calculator. And this is not a times, this is raised to the 4th power. My bad. This is a total of 625 cis pi over 3. Okay? All right, on this one, leave it in trig form. I always have to read to see how they want it left. This makes it really easy. You apply this to here, and it's 2 to the 5th power. Now I wrote it right. Cis 5 times 4 pi over 15. Okay, this reduces to a 3. This increases to a 32. Cis pi, oh, it's 4 pi over 3, excuse me, 4 pi over 3. There we go, done. See how nice that is, raising it to powers? I could do these all day long. This one, notice we have to change the form. And leave it in trig form. So that means I have to start with the r, which is the square root of -1 squared plus square root 3 squared, which is 2. The theta is equal to tan inverse square root of 3 over -1, which is -60 degrees. And this is located back 1 up square root of 3. It's located over here. So this is 120. That's what I'm going to be using. So I'm going to take 2 cis 120 raised to the 12th. So I get 2 to the 12th cis 12 times 120. This is where 12 times 120 might be a little nicer to see it in radians, but I've already started, so I'm going to finish, and I didn't do a 12th there. So 2 to the 12th power is 4,096. From memory, we did it yesterday 3 times. So, and this is 1440 on the degrees. Well, there's a problem with this. This number is greater than 360. So I have to subtract off 360 until it's not greater than 360. And there's something interesting that comes out, because 4 times 360 is 1440. All right. So that means this goes all the way down to 0 or 360. So your final answer is 4096 cis of 0, or I would have to accept 4096 cis 360. 360 and 0 are in the same location. So either one of these are correct. Okay? All right. Last one. Give the answer in standard form. So when I'm done with this, I have to multiply back. So I've got to change it, because I don't want to take this on and raise it to the 6th power without being in standard form, because it's so much easier. So r is equal to the square root of 2 squared plus 2 root 3 squared. And that's going to give me 4. That's going to give me 4 times 3, which is 12. So square root of 16, which is 4. Theta is tan inverse of 2 root 3 over 2. These cancel. That's 60 degrees. This is in the first quadrant. I'm done. So I am going to be taking 4 cis 60 to the 6th power. Raise that to the 6th. And cis 6 times 60. All right, so 4 to the 6 is 4,096. And cis 360. All right, so that means I need to know what's going on at 360 or 0 degrees. It's right here. The cosine, it's out 1, up 0. So this is cosine sine. So to finish this off, I'm going to expand this 4,096 times cosine 360 plus I sine 360. And lovely, I have announcements in the background. Yay! All right, this is a 1. This is a 0. I times 0. That means this cancels. So all that's left is a 1, and then it's 4096 times this. So that's just 4096, and we're done. All right, so here's your homework, and you can pause this. I'm going to turn it off for now and stop the video.